Everybody, and welcome to another edition of Everybody Wants England. Apologies that I had to edit the time a little bit. I had planned to start at 8 o'clock. However, one of the movies, actually, the first movie I'm going to talk about tonight, was over 2 hours long. And as I normally do, sometimes I wait until the last minute to get the movies watched. And I was very optimistic. I thought I was going to get them all watched before the shank of the evening. However, the first film, A Star is Born, was about 2 hours and 20 minutes long. That didn't make it any less of a great movie. It's just that I kept trying in between work to watch it and do tickets at the same time, and it didn't work out quite as I had planned. But I did manage to get the gist of all of the movies, including the last one, Young Joe the Forgotten Kennedy, which I had to watch a little bit on fast forward. However, unfortunately, Robert Englund wasn't in it a lot. I don't know if that's fortunately or unfortunately. I mean, he was during the last, I'd say, quarter of the film, which was a bigger part than this part in A Star is Born. But we're going to get to the movies here in just 1 second. But I did want to take care of some housekeeping things before we get to these three movies. So, I wanted to announce I have yet again created a new design. And for those of you that had been clamoring for a TMI show shirt, I now have one. I created a design last night, got an idea, went from there with it, and was able to create one. So if anybody is interested in purchasing a TMI show shirt, for those of you that remember me and Jay doing an evening edition of Dana and Jay where we had a TMI show, you may want to take a look at the design for that. I'm also going to be coming up with an actual Midday with Dana and Jay shirt as well, or a shirt design, as well as commercials for both Midday with Dana and Jay and the TMI show. As if we haven't hyped it up enough, we'll hype it up a little bit more. So you guys can look forward to all of that. Now, what's going on for the rest of the week with me? Tomorrow night, TJ and I should be talking about the first three episodes of Creepshow, but never fear, there are two stories per episode, so that'll be like a total of 6. So be sure to join us for that tomorrow night, starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thursday, I am planning on doing a Seductive Poison, the Resurgence triple threat review show, where I'm going to be reviewing the movies that I meant to review last Thursday, and was too wiped out to do so. Friday will be another Midday with Dana and Jay that is sure to be full of surprises because I have no current theme, so we may just get on there and bullshit for a couple hours or so. Also, this weekend, we've got a couple of watch-alongs. We have the original Canadian slasher classic of My Bloody Valentine. Hey, Blissful. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time this Saturday. Sunday will be My Girl, also starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The movie Munchies for 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday will be My Bloody Valentine chocolate heart-shaped cupcakes with red frosting and pickaxes in the middle of these cupcakes. So, fake pickaxes, mind you, miniature ones. So, that's what I got coming up for the remainder of the week. So let's get to these movies, shall we? And I'm going to be rating them, and it's going to be a combination of Robert Englund's performance and the movie itself. So just keep that in mind as we go along. Now, I realize I may lose some of my audience because I had to change the time at the last minute, which, like I said, I do apologize, but I wanted to watch as much of these three movies as I possibly could, so that I could best talk about them. Okay, so the first one is from 1976. It's A Star is Born. First off, Robert Englund has a minuscule part in this, but it's nonetheless memorable. And he didn't even get credited in A Star is Born, which I don't know if that was his choice or the producer's choice, whose choice it was, but I think they ought to give him credit. I mean, he had a name in the movie. I believe it was Marty. And basically his only part in the movie is to act like an asshole and get in a fight with Chris Christopherson's character near the beginning of the film, when Chris Christopherson goes to like I guess a nightclub like that, or a nightclub place where Barbara Streisand's character is singing. And basically, he falls in love with her that night. So, if you want to see Robert Englund in a very, very small role, menacing or trying to menace Chris Christopherson, then you can definitely see him near the beginning of this film. Now, to get to the movie itself, I cannot believe I have never seen A Star is Born. And truth be told, after seeing the original, I really, really don't see myself watching that remake. I wasn't really interested in that remake, but there's always been a place in the back of my mind where I was like, I should watch A Star is Born. However, I never did it until now. So it's very fresh in my mind because I watched it today. So it basically concerns Chris Christopherson's character, who is, I mean, this plot synopsis says he's a has-been rock star, but I don't look at it as he's so much of a has-been as he's trying to maybe get out of the limelight a little bit, because you see him having to snort cocaine before he goes on stage and drinking Jack Daniels. He's living the typical hard rock star life. And so you just knew that if he kept going the way he was going, it was going to catch up to him. So he ends up falling in love with Barbara Streisand's character of Esther. Hey, Kathy. And they start the proverbial love affair, which I think is so sweet. Some people might say, yeah, it's sappy, it's fairy tale like, it's all of that. I didn't feel that way about it. I was totally engrossed in the story from like it. It took until he and Esther were really together before that cemented my watchability for this. I was going to watch it regardless. I'm not saying it was a bad film before they got together. I'm just saying it had to get going a little bit, but once it got rolling and their relationship blossomed, and this seemed to me, although Chris Christopherson's character was not rough around the edges like Loretta Lynn's husband, Doolittle Lynn. Um, and but he loved Esther so much that he kept pushing her to further her career. And I was like, this is a guy that really cares about her, or he wouldn't keep pushing. And he tells her she's got to go out on tour. He even brings her up on stage when he's performing. And it's kind of funny, kind of not, but she said, she calls him names, calls him a fucker and stuff like that, and a bastard. Um, and also, I saw a little bit for anybody that knows anything about Sonny and Cher. Cher, at first, when she first got together with Sonny, he wanted to put her out front and he wanted her to sing, and she was terrified. And so I watched this movie about their career and their relationship. And he told her in the recording studio, just look at me, pretend that there's nobody else here, and sing. And he kept encouraging her. And so, in the same way that Chris Christopherson's character encourages Esther, and so from then on out, I was just didn't want to take my eyes off the screen of watching this movie and seeing where this movie was going to go. Great love story, great music in this. Barbara Streisand is incredible in this. Say what you will about Barbara Streisand, I totally believe that she was this character. And I totally believe for the length of that movie that her and Chris Christopherson were in love. No, Red Hammer Steve did not watch A Star Is Born. He actually told me, he said, it's not my kind of movie, Dana. But so you say, I just watched that it was good. Um, and you said the remake isn't worth the time. Um, so I, have seen enough of these movies though, and spoiler alert before I get to this, in case you haven't seen the original A Star Is Born. Um, he does. Chris Christopherson ends up sort of cheating on her with a girl that claims she writes for Rolling Stone, and this girl is a real bitch and a ditz and everything else. And I was like, I can't believe that was the only time I was really angry with Chris Christopherson in the movie, his character in the movie, because in a way he was trying to do something good because this girl said she really wanted to interview Esther and she'd be willing to do anything to get that interview. So he ends up being in bed with this girl. Esther comes home, comes in, catches them together. And, I kind of knew that was something like that was going to happen. And she's just, breaking shit in the house, Esther is. And she's calling him a bastard and she's telling him she hates him. Basically, she wishes she never met him. And then he tries to kiss her, he tries to hug her, and she's just, I hate you, I hate you. She starts out biting his lip when he tries to kiss her, biting his shoulder, and then it turns into a more passionate kiss where she changes from I hate you to I love you. And they're all happy again. And then I'm like, something bad's going to happen. Something bad's going to happen because she's getting ready to further her career even more. And he tells her he's got to go pick up, I believe, both of their manager. And he leaves in his very fast car. And he's driving way, way too fast. And the next shot we see is a helicopter landing with Esther and the manager in it. And you see the car turned up on its side. And before they even say he's dead, that he's dead. And the very poignant, a very emotional scene of Esther holding him and crying and telling him to bring him a blanket and she doesn't want to leave him, and to, tells the ambulance people to be very careful with him and all of that. And then the last shot of the movie is her on stage singing her heart out. And I didn't cry, but I almost cried. It was that emotional. Um, yes, Kathy, I agree. Chris Christopherson was hot in this movie, and the soundtrack was fantastic in it. So, what rating did I give A Star Is Born? Well, considering that Robert Englund, he did a good job with what he was given, but he just wasn't in there a lot. But overall rating for the movie and his performance, I have to give it a 5 dead-eyes out of 5. Um, I really want to buy this movie now, and I want to watch it again. I want to watch it again on a smaller scale when I'm not really trying to critique the movie. I just want to watch it to be watching it this time. So I'll probably end up buying the Blu-ray really soon. Liz, what you say, you cry every time? Yeah, I could see that, I don't know if I was just too tired to cry or what. It was very emotional. That and the final scene both were very, very emotional. Oh goodness, so sorry. All right. So let's get to the next movie that was fun for the most part. And that was 1977's The Great Smokey Roadblock, which you can watch on Tubi, believe it or not, if you don't mind watching it with commercials. And Robert Englund has a large part. He's in the majority of the movie. And I feel like he has a very substantial part in the movie. Henry Fonda stars in this. Robert Englund is kind of like his sidekick. Bebo is his name. And one of the girls asked him, how'd you get the name Bebo? And he's like, it's a family name. It came from his mother's side of the family or something. And oh my gosh, just I've said this before, I'll say it again. And I know Robert Englund's married. But what an adorable guy, especially in his younger days. And in this movie, he was no less adorable. So so it starts out, Henry Fonda's character is in the hospital, and he's having a dream about getting his truck back. We soon find out that he was a trucker who, shipped stuff all over the United States and maybe into Canada. Oh, I'm so sorry. And he couldn't pay off the loan on his semi truck. So basically, the bank or the loan company took his truck and it was in the repo yard. And I'm guessing that he was sick or something and he ended up in the hospital. But he knows that he's got to escape from the hospital somehow and get back to his truck, which is named Eleanor. I'm assuming after Eleanor Roosevelt because he has a picture of Eleanor Roosevelt inside the truck. And Bebo, Robert Englund's character, asked him about it. He's like, who is that? Is that your wife? And he's like, Bebo, don't you know any history or something to that effect? And Bebo's kind of just looking at him. So at first, Bebo's like, I'm leaving because he thinks that Henry Fonda's character is trying to use him, because he has like $5. Henry Fonda has like $5, and Bebo has like $63. But they stop for gas, and Bebo's like, I ain't paying for that gas. You use me, But then he comes back into the fold, and he and Henry Fonda are trying to get the great elusive load, that's going to make them some money. And, and, basically Henry Fonda knows he's not getting any younger, and he knows this may very well be his last run, and he wants to make it the greatest. However, excuse me, it seems that everybody's hot on his trail for essentially what they feel like is he stowed his truck back from the repo people. And so everybody is after them. So Henry Fonda has a girlfriend. Uh, Eileen Brennan plays his girlfriend, and she's got these group of girls she kind of takes care of, including a very young Susan Sarandon, who I believe also co-wrote this film. And so it's only PG, so there's not really, you're not going to see a lot of TNA or anything like that. Um, okay, guys and gals, I guess I'm going to have to go grab some M&Ms. Hold on one sec. I'm guessing that's what happens when you eat a lot of soup and you're diabetic. Your blood sugar is going to invariably run low at some points in time. So I'm getting tired of yawning. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, please hit the thumbs up. Thank you. So, and just let you know, I'm going to give spoilers for this one too. So, if we really don't want to hear the spoilers, you might want to step away soon, if you're planning on watching this. So, Bebo pretty much starts a romance with Susan Sarandon's character. They get put in jail, and the girls seduce the cops and get them naked and put them in the jail cell, and then everybody else escapes. And it appears that they're going to make it, that Henry Fonda is going to make his final run, and he's so happy. And I'm guessing him and Eileen Brennan would cement their relationship and get married. And Bebo's in the back of the semi truck with the girls, and all of a sudden it stops. And they're like, Bebo, what's going on? Why did the truck stop? And he's like, just stay here. I'm going to go check. And it appears that Henry Fonda's character is dead at that point in time. Ellen Brennan is cradling him. And she basically tells Bebo, she says, you'll have to drive. I think it was like maybe 20 miles or something. And so as she's cradling Henry Fonda, Bebo climbs up in the driver's seat and takes them those last few miles. And then the movie ends. So kind of a bummer ending and kind of not a bummer ending. Actually, the endings to all three of these films were less than joyful, I guess. It was joyful in this case because technically he finished his last run and got to see a whole heck of a lot of Robert Englund, who again is very adorable in this movie as Bebo. You could almost believe that this man never played Freddy Krueger, never played a bad guy in any movie. When you see characters like him play characters like Bebo and the character of Michael in Sunburst, the the character in Stay Hungry, um, all of those characters were very sweet characters that Robert Englund played. So that brings us to the last film, which, well, let me give a rating for the great Smokey Roadblock. Keep in mind that this is for Robert Englund's performance and the movie combined into one. I gave it 4 deadites out of 5 because it was enjoyable. Robert Englund's performance was the icing on the cake for me. I definitely can see myself going back and watching this movie again, and I also recommend it. And once again, it is on Tubi, in case you want to take a gander at it. So we will take that rating off. So the last movie I want to talk about, and I know, guys and gals, this isn't going to be a very long one, mainly because I don't have anybody else with me on the stream. But I'm very happy for those of you that felt compelled to join me in the chat tonight. So the last movie is Young Joe, The Forgotten Kennedy from 1977, which is, of course, about Joe Kennedy, JFK and Bobby Kennedy's brother, who I guess they called this the Forgotten Kennedy because people don't talk about Joe Kennedy that much, if at all. Now, you can watch this on archive.org or the Internet Archive. Steve was able to find a copy of it for me. I was like, I don't know why I couldn't find it on there. So this was made for TV. And even though from a historical standpoint, it's covering a figure from history, one of the Kennedys, albeit one that nobody ever talks about much or at all. But here's the thing. As I was watching it, and I didn't get to focus on any one scene too much because that was the last one I watched, and I was trying to get it done before I got on here tonight. And I was also trying to find out where the hell Robert Englund was in this movie. So Robert Englund turns up in the last fourth of the movie, like I said earlier. However, I guess I should be more respectful about this movie, but instead I found it overly dramatic and kind of that there's a lot of TV stuff that's good. And then there's some TV stuff, even if it's about real people and based on real people's lives, it's I hate to say this, but it's like Jack Black mentioned in High Fidelity. It's tacky crap, basically, and or pappy crap, or however he said it. And I just felt that way kind of about this movie. It just was overly dramatic, moody, didn't have a lot going for it at all. Most of it was rather boring to me. And I really don't see myself going back and rewatching this for any other reason than to rewatch maybe Robert Englund's performance. Because Robert Englund plays a character named Willie, who Steve made this joke. He said, because I said, I don't think Robert Englund's going to be in this very much. And Steve said, I don't either, Dana. Robert Englund definitely doesn't look like a Kennedy. And so, last quarter of the movie, Robert Englund shows up as Willie. He's playing another Willie. Those of you that watch V, and I will be getting to V at some point, will know that he played the character of Willie, the alien, on V. Kathy, you say you like some of those Lifetime movies, but they're sadly predictable junk. Or, as I call them, women in peril movies. because invariably you can almost guarantee that a woman's going to be on there with an eating disorder. She's going to be beaten up by her boyfriend or her husband. There's going to be something bad that's going to happen to women in those movies. My mom loves LMN, and she's always watching, so I've seen plenty of those things. But back to Young Joe, the Forgotten Kennedy. You say, I agree, save the woman. Exactly. Um, so, like I said, it covers briefly Joe Kennedy's life on up until he gets into the military. And during the last quarter of the movie, he's, flying planes. And Robert Englund's character, Willie, is basically like a friend that he's met in the military. And also his cohort or co-pilot or whatever you want to call it on this mission. And I didn't really catch if they were going out on a mission to drop some bombs, because there was talk about bombs. And this was when, I guess it was during World War II, I would say. And the Germans were bombing everybody. As there's scenes that take place in London and all of that. And so he and Robert Englund's character are in a plane. They've been told that they're on like this mission, and they're basically going to be sitting on top of, or they're going to be carrying the biggest charge, albeit like explosives, ever. So they take off, they're going. Him and Willie are talking about how nervous they are and stuff like that. And it's a good role, and for Robert Englund, I think he did well with it. It's just the overall movie itself is not really that great. So, you see the plane going and see them talking and see interspliced with other people that are helping them out. And all of a sudden, Joe, the character playing, or the actor playing Joe Kennedy, says, I just thought of something, and then the plane just explodes. And the next scene you see is the family being told that Joe is dead. The Kennedy family being told that Joe is dead. So, not a movie I envision myself going back and watching really ever again. Uh, Except if I can pull out Robert Englund's performance and watch all of that again, that would be fun. But as far as a movie, no. So the rating I would give for this, and this is including Robert Englund's performance, right? I have to give it a 3, anywhere from a 2.5 to a 3 deadites out of 5. And so, yeah, definitely not my favorite of the 3 that I covered this time. I would say A Star Is Born, and even, hold on, let's see. Excuse me. And even The Great Smokey Roadblock would be better suited for people's watching. The Great Smokey Roadblock was certainly entertaining. It was like almost like those great road movies from the 70s. Thank you, Blissful. Blissful says, bless you. So, Blissful, you said that's being generous for Young Joe, the Forgotten Kennedy. So I'm wondering, have you seen it? Blissful? Have you seen Young Joe the Forgotten Kennedy? If any of y'all in here have seen this, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Perhaps your thoughts might be a little different than mine. Um, oh, so you've seen it. So, Blissful knows what she's talking about, definitely, because she's seen it. Um, what did you think of Robert Englund's performance as Willie? I mean, that's where most, or really all of my deadites in the rating come from. Um, you're definitely not a Kenny fan. Well, that would affect things too. But I'll just go ahead and tell you what I will be covering next week. Let's say you say you were surprised to see Robert Englund in the movie, but you liked him. Yeah, I definitely he was the best part of the movie. I'll be totally honest. But next week, next Tuesday, I will be covering three more movies. Big Wednesday from 1978, which is a surfer film. So for all of you guys and gals that love surfing, you'll like this. I believe Gary Busey's in this, William Katt's in it, as well as Mr. Robert Englund. And I want to bring something up. I forgot to mention that Gary Busey is in A Star is Born as, I guess he was more like Chris Christopherson's manager in it, or road manager, or whatever you want to call it. Kathy, you say I'm a Kennedy family fan, remembering John F. being president. So I'll be covering Big Wednesday from 1978, The Courage and the Passion, also from 1978, and Blood Brothers, yet again from 1978. And we haven't even gotten anywhere near the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. We've got a few more weeks to go before we even get there. Oh, yes. Blitzel says, Kathy, I feel John was the best out of all of them, but his poor sister, that broke my heart. Yeah, the story about her broke my heart, too. It was just terrible. So, guys and gals, I want to thank everybody for being in here with me for about 40 minutes or so. I can make it to 40 minutes. If anybody wants to ask me anything, comment on anything, tell me how this episode sucked. Because I don't really feel like I was, I'm feeling better, but I still don't feel like I was as on top of my game as I could be. So, for that, I do apologize. But, I'm sorry that I'm eating so many M&Ms, but I had to do something because I didn't want to pass out on you guys. Well, it is 40 minutes in now. Let's say great live. Now I need to watch A Star is Born again. Well, thank you for saying it was a great live, Blissful. And so I'm going to skedaddle on out of here for the night. And y'all be sure to tune in tomorrow night starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time for me and TJ to talk about the first 3 double episodes of Creep Show Season 1. See you guys next time. Y'all have a great night.